Well, hello, my lovely lilies, and happy November. With that being said, I was thinking the other day, what better way to celebrate November than with Native American legends and lore? Tonight I have for you the mysteries and legends of Shiprock, the sacred peak of the Navajo people. Without further ado, close the blinds, dim those lights, cuddle under your favorite blanket, and let's begin. The mysteries and legends of Shiprock. It is called Tatetob, or the Rock with Wings. Navajo legends tell how Shiprock was a piece of land that became a bird, carrying the ancestral people of the Navajo on its back. After being transported from another place, the Navajos lived on the monolith, coming down only to plant their fields and get water. Located southwest of the city of Shiprock, New Mexico, the strange Shiprock Peak is protected territory of the Navajo Nation. Located in the center of an area inhabited by the ancient Pueblo people, a prehistoric Native American tribe often referred to as the Anasazi. Shiprock is referred to as a rock with wings, or winged rock, thanks to the legend of the great bird that brought the Navajo from the north to the present lands. It rises about 500 meters above the desert of New Mexico and has been the protagonist of a number of films and novels of the West. Rising high above the surrounding dry landscape, Shiprock has long been a fascination, not only to photographers and explorers, but to anyone who travels to visit it. Currently, it is the focus of attention of many photographers due to its beauty, but also thanks to the sheer sizes of stories and legends that sit on its back. Pictured here, a satellite image of Shiprock. This mysterious monadnock was formed some 27 million years ago, around 1,000 meters below the surface of the Earth. Shiprock is composed of fractured volcanic breccia and black dikes of igneous rock called minette, and is the erosional remnant of the throat of a volcano, and the volcanic breccia formed in a diatreme. Over the years, the volcano eroded away, leaving behind a memory in the landscape, a strange geological formation with the height of around 460 meters, adorning and surrounding area with its mesmerizing beauty. The name of Shiprock was given by colonists because of the resemblance that this peak had to the enormous 19th century clipper ship. Americans first called the summit the Needle, a name given to the topmost pinnacle by Captain J.F. McComb in 1860. Its Navajo name, Tatetob, which means rock with wings, according to the Navajo legend, it represents the giant bird that carried the ancestral people of the Navajo on its back. Legends have it that at sundown the massive winged creature settled where Shiprock is today, promptly turning to stone. Stories tell how the ancient Navajo settled on the rock's peak, coming down only to plant their fields and get water. One day, however, Shiprock was struck by a massive lightning storm, causing great suffering and destruction, stranding the women and children on top to starve. Since that time, the rock has been forbidden to people. As the Navajo elders say, visitors may disturb the ghostly spirits of those left behind. According to Navajo tradition, the Shiprock Formation is in the Four Corners region and plays a significant role in Navajo religion, myth, and culture. Per Navajo customs, human ascent have been expressly off-limits since 1970. Now, my lovely Lilies, I went researching Shiprock even further and stumbled upon an article in a magazine dated December 14th, 2017, entitled Letters from San Juan County, New Mexico, a Monster in Navajo Country, a story of mythological birds and a murder near the sacred Shiprock volcano in northwest New Mexico. The neck of an eroded volcano stands alone in the open desert of northwest New Mexico. It is called Shiprock, and it rises 1,500 feet, like a grotesque and beautiful castle on the dry plank of the Navajo reservation. I once taught a week-long field course in archaeology around its base, where hard, igneous walls lead toward the rock like the strands of a spider web. Will Sosi, a Navajo archaeologist, taught the course with me, and as the morning sun stretched across the desert, he talked to the group from the Crow Canyon Archaeological Center, just over the border in Colorado, about a time of monsters when the earth was not safe. He had recited the legend once already, and now asked if one of the participants could finish it. An older white gentleman explained how a pair of monster birds nested atop Shiprock, flying out every day to snatch people and feed them to their young. These enormous, gruesome birds clutched in their talons people, wearing regalia, feathers, and face paint. One day a Zuni man, the next day a coma child. The top of the rock was made of spear points, and when the birds dropped each person, he was impaled, his blood streaming down to the skeletons and partially defleshed bodies of those who had come before him. Food for the monster birds' chicks. While the story went on, I noticed 2 ATVs on the horizon. Farther away, a chain of people marched across the desert. They were walking a grid pattern. We'd seen an army of them earlier. The local community banded together in a search. An 11-year-old girl had been kidnapped the day before. The Amber Alert had woken me at 4:27 a.m. San Juan County, New Mexico. Child, 11, Native American. Female, 4'8", 80 pounds, brown-black hair. Abducted in a maroon van. I'll tell you what happened to the girl, but not yet. I'm still at the base of Shiprock listening to the story of the monster bird, and all I know is that she's gone, and that for some reason they think she's here, which means they don't know where she is right now. That's all I know. The archaeological sites around here go back 1,000 years or so. Barren hilltops rubbed with Pueblo fortresses, roads beaten into the earth, where more than 200,000 pine trees were chopped down with stone axes in the mountains and then carried to the Chaco Canyon to build roofs and posts of big prehistoric rooms. Broken pottery is strewn across the ground, so much of it that it's like walking on eggshells. Every step a choice, a decision, feeling your way among the ghosts. The smooth fired pieces are decorated with painted designs, black on white, and still pressed with fingertips of people who have been dead for 10 centuries, bowls and jars and dishes. Back then, the land was more populated. Almost every nook and point of Rimrock is mounded with collapsed walls. 10 stories of structures crawled up the side of a mesa, belonging to a civilization of corn growers, people who imported live tropical macaws from Central America. There were graves filled with turquoise and seashells, now windswept and driven back to the sand and greasewood. Time swallows everything. On the slopes beneath the volcanic spikes, we find the footprints of ancient houses, littered with flake stone and arrowheads, places where the monster bird may have snatched the Zuni man in full regalia, and the Acoma child, flying them up to their deaths on the daggered summit of Shiprock, which rams up from the earth, sky piercers spindled of molten rock turned hard. I know when they find her, the human chain breaks apart. People disperse. A short distance away from us, her body is on the ground. Her name is Ashlyn Mike. When the students were away from us, Tasosi and I spoke about what was going on. He seemed to carry in his face not only distress for what had happened here, but also knowledge that the murder of a girl at the base of Shiprock is more than meets the eye. We talked about the sporadic evidence of human sacrifice that happened in the Four Corners region centuries ago. Acts of barbarism and horror. Caves littered with bodies that 1,000 years ago were chopped, mangled, burned. Ruined pueblos where human skeletons were found without hands or feet. A collapsed masonry tower filled with burned remains of infants and children. According to the old stories, child sacrifices were reserved for only the worst times, as a last-ditch efforts to save the world. The Tohono O'odham people of southern Arizona have a legend. A hole opened in the ground, and water gushed out of it as if an artery had been opened in the earth. In the desert, water is a blessing, but then it wouldn't stop. The elders decided to send 4 children into the hole. They disappeared inside, and the water ceased. The children did not return. Stones were stacked on the hole to remember where it happened. I once stumbled onto a shrine in the Arizona desert, where these 4 children are said to have been sacrificed. There's no trail, and there's no sign that marks the way. It is out there among the cactus and the bushes. There, I came upon a circle of dried, thorny ocotello branches, bound together to form a boundary. I stepped into the middle, where the rocks were piled near toys, bleached by the sun, dolls and toy cars, jacks and rubber balls. Some are fresh. Who knows how old this story is, how long ago this water is said to have sprung from the earth, and still people are returning to mourn those 4 children. The sacrifice was so great, so powerful and unforgettable, that people keep coming back. Had the human condition gone so far out of whack that we were back to the sacrifice of children? We didn't think so, but the brutal, senseless death of a child is hard to carry. The news report the following morning was unusually precise. The tire iron, a description of Ashlyn's clothes, how she was still moving when he left her on the red brick earth. The killer, a 27-year-old Navajo man named Tom Begay Jr. from the nearby town of Waterflow, New Mexico, was arrested at a sweat lodge not far from Shiprock. He didn't even try to run. I've been to these sweat lodges, huddled inside a bubble of steam on a desert floor, cramped space, legs folded, glowing stones in the middle, hissing at water as it's thrown upon them. I've gritted my teeth in the scalding heat as poisons are pulled from my body and beaded into sweat. I imagine he was doing just that in the hours before investigators arrived, sweating out the horrors he had inflicted. He had molested, beaten, and strangled Ashlyn. He later pled guilty to federal charges of murder, aggravated sexual abuse, and kidnapping. For all the stories and memories on this ghostly reservation, it is impossible to see her as a sacrifice. Her murder was the result of Begay Jr.'s twisted malice, and only that. But in the old legends, Shiprock is where the blood of innocent victims spilled, in a time when the world was terrifying, when shadows appeared in the sky, and talons tore through their shoulders, carrying you away. Something about our present moment feels oddly connected to this eerie past. I wonder whether evil has again bubbled up from the earth, catching humans in its web. The starkness of the rescuers stand in my mind, their forms moving back and forth against the horizon. I saw Navajos and whites among them, a community spilling out of the desert, each person carrying the hope that the monster might have missed this one girl. but it did not. Alright, my lovely lilies, thank you so much for watching the new video. If you can, hit that subscribe and like button, comment below and tell me your thoughts. Also, don't forget to tap the little notification bell so you're always in the know on this channel. As well, guys, you can always find me on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and always you can hit me up in my emails. Feel free to send me your stories, whether they're fiction or totally true. I'm always up for some great stories. And oh, by the way, until next time, sweet dreams.